everybody? It's JT Sports back to you guys with another video. This video I'm here with my Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears preview and prediction. I'm going to be previewing this game and giving my prediction of who will win this game at the end of this video. And before I begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Upload NFL videos and NFL content daily. And I'm saying right off the bat, I think this is a must-win game for the Green Bay Packers. Now, I know it's week one, and I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh, must-win. It's only week one, dude. It's like 15, 16 weeks of the NFL regular season. You think this is a must-win? I think this is a must-win for the Green Bay Packers, and here's why. So you have a new coach in Matt LaFleur, and I feel that if Green Bay wins this game, it's going to give the locker room a morale boost, and it's going to increase the team's confidence that they have in head coach Matt LaFleur. Because the whole entire offseason has been the thing with Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. It's kind of been a power struggle. I don't know if it's true or anything like that. But I think if Green Bay is able to win this game, then it's going to increase Aaron Rodgers' confidence in Matt LaFleur. And also, if Aaron Rodgers' confidence in Matt LaFleur is high, then the whole team's confidence in Matt LaFleur is going to be high. And with a new head coach, it's always a little bit hard to try to win the team over, really, and have the team believing in what you're doing and what you're doing is going to work. So I think if the Green Bay Packers are able to win this game week one, it's going to give the team a confidence boost and Matt LaFleur going forward. So I think this is a game that is kind of a must-win game for Green Bay, and it could kind of set the tone for how their season could end up going. And when we look at the Chicago Bears, this Chicago Bears team, although they lost their defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, who is now the head coach of the Denver Broncos, this is still going to be a very good defense. I mean, you have Khalil Mack on your defense. As long as you have Khalil Mack on your defense is going to be very good. They also have Eddie Jackson, who is one of the best safeties in the NFL. They got cornerback Kyle Fuller. I think he's the best cornerback in the NFL. You have Akeem Hicks. You have Roquan Smith. You have probably the most talented defense in the NFL talent-wise. So this Chicago Bears team on the defense side of the ball still think they're going to end up being the best defense by the time the end of the regular season rolls around. And then the biggest question is Mitch Trubisky. Now, under head coach Matt Nagy last season, we saw Mitch Trubisky take huge steps forward. Now, I want to see what Mitch Trubisky is going to do in this game, week one, versus this Green Bay Packers defense, which is really underrated going into this season. Because this Green Bay team, I really like what they did this offseason and approach to how they approach free agency. You got guys who can now rush the passer now. You got rid of some of the older guys like Clay Matthews. You went over there and improved the secondary as well. You got Savage. You got Amos. And, I mean, you got Jaire Alexander, who's coming off of a very impressive rookie season. So, I mean, I think this Green Bay defense is going to be very, very underrated going into this season. And I think this is a Green Bay defense that is going to give Mitch Trubisky a very challenging task in this week one matchup. So I want to see what Mitch Trubisky is going to look like coming into this matchup versus this Green Bay Packers defense, which is going to be very improved. And I think Mitch Trubisky, overall this season, I think he's going to end up being pretty good. I don't think he'll be no worse than average at worst, because here's the thing, right? A lot of people aren't really sold on Mitch Trubisky. You don't have to be sold on Mitch Trubisky, but you should be sold on Matt Nagy. And as long as Mitch Trubisky is in that Matt Nagy system, he's going to be no worse than average. The worst Mitch Trubisky will be average. Now, he has a very, very high ceiling, a lot of potential. And when we look at some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, guys like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, what do they all have in common? They all have been under the same system for a very long time. So if you're under the same system and you got stability there and you got a proven system that works, you're going to end up being very, very solid at that quarterback position. And that's what I'm expecting out of Mr. Trubisky. I think he's going to end up being a very good quarterback this year. Like I said, a lot of people think Mitch Trubisky is going to be a below-average quarterback and whatnot. I don't believe that. I think at worst, Mitch Trubisky will be an average quarterback. So now it's time to get into my keys to victory, what each of these teams need to do in order to have a chance of winning this game. For the Green Bay Packers, they need to find a way to contain and stop Khalil Mack. Now, I don't know if you guys watched the matchup when these teams first played last year in the first game around that these teams played when Chicago had a lead in the fourth quarter. Aaron Rodgers brought them back on one leg. And that was the first time those two teams had played. Khalil Mack absolutely wrecked that game. I mean, if Green Bay wants to win this game, you cannot let Khalil Mack wreck the game like how he did last year around when these teams first played last year. Because Khalil Mack, this dude can single-handedly win you football games. There's not a lot of football players in NFL history on the defense side of the ball that you can legitimately say can win you 3 or 4 games just by having them on the defense side of the ball. Khalil Mack is in that discussion. Khalil Mack is a game wrecker. We saw him win a lot of games on the defense side of the ball just on what he's able to do. This guy can single-handedly win games on the defense side of the ball. And if you're the Green Bay Packers, you need to find a way to keep Khalil Mack from dominating this game and wrecking havoc like what he did in his first matchup when the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears first played in the first matchup that they met last season. So, I mean, you do not want Khalil Mack to force the outcome in this game. You need to find a way to nip him in the bud, find a way to contain him, or keep him from getting to Aaron Rodgers and having an impact on this game. Because if Green Bay wants to win this game, they're going to have to be able to stop Khalil Mack and not let him wreak havoc on this Green Bay Packers offense. Second thing Green Bay needs to do, they have to be able to establish the run game. So now with Matt LaFleur, a thing like Matt LaFleur that Green Bay Packer fans like is that he's going to put emphasis on the run game, which is something that Green Bay has gotten away from the last couple of seasons, which is why Aaron Rodgers has, quote, been carrying the franchise, because Green Bay hasn't really put that much emphasis on the run game. So in this game versus Chicago, it's going to be at Chicago. If you want to limit the effect that Khalil Mack's going to have in this game and all of these Chicago Bears pass rushers, you're going to have to be able to have success running the football. And with being able to run the football, you're going to have two good backs. You have Aaron Jones, who is going to end up being a pretty solid back, and you're going to have Jamal Williams. Now, I don't know if Jamal Williams is going to be able to play this game or not. His status is up for grabs in this game, so I don't know if he's going to end up playing. But even if he does or doesn't play, you're going to have to find a way to establish the run game, and it's pivotal that you get the run game going, because on the Chicago Bears defense, they're very good stopping the pass, and you don't want to end up having to try to win this game passing the football, because then that's when you play into the Chicago Bears defense strength, which is getting after the passer and whatnot. And also Chicago Bears, this defense, they want to blitz a lot more than what they did last year. So I think if you want to neutralize or find a way to somewhat neutralize that Chicago Bears defense, Green Bay has to be able to run the football. And with Matt LaFleur being a guy who loves running the football and whatnot, he's going to have to find a way to get this Green Bay running game going. And when the run game gets going, then that's going to open a lot of opportunities for play action. You're going to be able to catch, you're going to be able to have a lot of big plays in the passing game if Green Bay is able to establish the run game. So if Green Bay wins this game, they're going to do it running the football and having over 100 yards rushing with those halfbacks. And the last thing that Green Bay needs to do, need to get pressure on Mitch Trubisky and force the Chicago Bears and Mitch Trubisky to win the game. You're going to have to force Mitch Trubisky to win the game. Don't let Chicago run the football on you. Let Mitch Trubisky win the game. I feel more confident if I'm the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers and having faith that my defense can do enough to stop Mitch Trubisky and force Mitch Trubisky to win the game and force Chicago Bears to have to rely on Mitch Trubisky to win this game versus letting Chicago run the ball and get those halfbacks going. So if I'm Green Bay, I want to test Mitch Trubisky. I want to see if Mitch Trubisky can win this game through the air. That's what I'm looking for as if I'm the defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. So they need to get pressure on Mitch Trubisky. Now, Mitch Trubisky, although I think he's going to be improved, he's still going to make a couple of mistakes. So Green Bay should be able to force a couple of turnovers, maybe a couple of interceptions or whatnot in this game if they want to win. But if they want to win this game, I feel Green Bay needs to let Chicago Bears have Mitch Trubisky win this game. I rather rely on Mitch Trubisky throwing the ball through the air than rather letting Chicago run the ball. So that's what Green Bay needs to do. Those are my keys to victory for the Green Bay Packers. What Chicago Bears need to do to win this game, they need to take away the run. And as soon as they take away the run, they need to take away Davante Adams. They need to get Davante Adams out of this game and force Aaron Rodgers to check down and throw to some of these other young wide receivers, because the Green Bay Packers wide receiving core isn't really that good. It's not terrible, but they have a lot of guys who I'm not really sold on, like Allison and whatnot. You got Scantling there as well. So if I'm Chicago Bears with Kyle Fuller, I would double team Davante Adams, completely take him out the game. You're going to be taking away Aaron Rodgers' best target and force Aaron Rodgers to go elsewhere with the football, because Aaron Rodgers said this offseason that he wants Davante Adams to get a lot more targets than what he did last season. And Davante Adams was one of the most targeted wide receivers last season. So that just goes to show you that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a lot of faith in this receiving core if he comes out and makes that statement that's saying that he wants Davante Adams to get a lot more targets this season. So that just goes to show you Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a lot of faith in his Green Bay Packers receiving core. So force him to throw to other receivers and look at other options passing the football. And I think if Chicago is able to do that and take Davante Adams out of this game, then I think that's going to impact when it gets to the pass rush, because then Aaron Rodgers his number one option is going to be Davante Adams. As soon as he's dropping back off his 3-step or 4-step drop or whatever, he's going to be looking directly at Davante Adams. You take away that option and you force him to check down and throw to other receivers. I think that's going to be a good way that Chicago could win this game. And also, Mitch Trubisky has to play well in this game. This is a rivalry game. It's a divisional game. And this division is really, really close. So every game in this division is going to count. And I think this is going to be a big game for Mitch Trubisky. He's going to have to come out here and he's going to have to be able to make some plays in this game. So the team that I'm going with to win this game, I want to go with the Chicago Bears to win this game. They're at home, and our Green Bay, they're in a whole new, entirely different offense and things like that. So I think it might take them a couple of weeks to finally start getting it going and adjusting to Matt LaFleur's system. So I think that's also going to benefit the Chicago Bears as well. And I just think the Chicago Bears right now, I think they're just a better team than what the Green Bay Packers are, at least at the beginning of the season. And I think their defense is going to be able to make a couple of plays, get a couple of sacks on Aaron Rodgers, and I think this defense is going to be the reason why the Chicago Bears win this game. This should be a pretty low-scoring game. I'm not expecting a shootout or anything like that. I think Chicago Bears win this game 17-10. That's my final score for this game. So let me know who you guys think is going to win down in the comment section down below. Also, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.